Thanks for making a date. Welcome back to the marketplace. Now, oil exploration firm Tullow Oil is expressing interest in the new oil blocks that government want to auction by close of this year. Group Chief Executive of Tullow, Paul McDade, disclosed this to Joy Business at a media engagement in Accra. He spoke with George Riafi.
Both TEN and Jubilee have shown themselves to be terrific areas, very significant resources, and that's why we've got the rig willing to add to those resources and increase production. So both fields are doing well, and in fact, we're even thinking about bringing a second rig to accelerate that production build. So with regard to the new bidding round, as well as having that in Ghana, we see a long-term future for Tullow Ghana, and that requires us to start thinking about new areas which will only add to our business here. So it's very much the success we've had and continue to have at Jubilee and TEN that encourages us to go for new acreage here in Ghana.
Is it more about the fortunes, the bottom line, or just increasing the volumes as well, because it will come at a cost as well in trying to do this thing or this stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, no, I think we obviously have to make choices about where do we invest money in Africa, and we have a fantastic experience of investment here in Ghana. So we enjoy working in countries and investing in countries where we have contract stability, good government relations, and an efficient government that allows us on and do our works. So we've been happy here in Ghana. It's a great place to invest, and we want to continue to grow our company beyond TEN and Jubilee.
This will come at a cost. Any estimations right now in terms of this expression of interest and what you're looking forward to?
I mean, it's far too early to work out how much new exploration license costs. It will come at a cost. That, as I said, would be a really sound investment. It will be driven by the geology. If the geology is right and we find it attractive and interesting to pursue, then we will find the exploration funds. I mean, the company over the last year or so has really improved its financial position. We're at the end of 2017. We returned to free cash flow, significantly reduced our debt, and find ourselves in a very strong position financially.
But what I can see that has been budgeted for, this has been accounted for, or let me use the word budgeted for, in terms of finances, looking at where you've come from your finances and the problems that you've had.
Yeah. So, I look ahead. Obviously, this year we've budgeted for all the work that we're doing here in Ghana. We're around TEN and Jubilee, and as we project the budgets for future years, one of the considerations would be about further expansion here in Ghana, and that would include the new bidding round.
Let's look at the turret bearing, and anytime I look out for your investor statement, I ask myself, are we going to see a revision and all the rest? What is the assurance that we have this round that projected completion date December? Indeed, we are going to bring everything to at the end of this year, looking at the work that you've done so far.
So the turret bearing, was a very significant problem at Jubilee. It's something that the industry still doesn't quite understand why that happened. The team here in Ghana have done an exceptional job of managing it so far, because we've continued production throughout at very high levels as they think about this unique repair that we need to do. We decided to spend quite a bit of time just thinking through such that we got the right solution to the problem we had with the turret bearing, and that's now defined. We had a very successful shutdown earlier in the year. We're underway with the second one, which we expect to be equally successful, and will allow us to close out the turret bearing towards the end of the year. So we're very confident that this matter will be behind us, which is really why we're back drilling in Jubilee, so that we can start to ramp up production.
Still in the oil and gas sector, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, is demanding accountability on part of oil revenues that were not spent on projects allocated in the 2017 budget. According to the energy policy think tank, the Minister of Finance had earlier stated that the fund, which couldn't be spent, will be used to fund construction of roads and other infrastructural projects in the country. In an interview with Joy Business after addressing a media conference, Executive Director of ACEP, Benjamin Boakye, believes Parliament failed in its oversight responsibility on the petroleum funds.
The projected expenditure for the agriculture sector was 156 million Ghana cedis. He projected 211 million Ghana cedis for the education sector. 50 million off, and then 376 million for infrastructure and roads. But if you look at the out end, how he spent it, or the outcome of the 2017, we realize that even though he had enough money to spend on the priority areas, he did not spend the money, apart from the free SHS component, where he spent about 96% of what he said he would spend. The rest of it, he did not spend as much as he should. For example, in agriculture, he budgeted 156 million and 49 million agriculture. He budgeted 50 million, and he only spent 8.6 million. So why is sitting there unutilized? And why has no one told us where the money is? Because the reconciliation report is supposed to have accounted for the balances, of all the accounts, and that is not done. It's not been done in the reconciliation report.
And away from oil and gas, the Bank of Ghana is taking steps to ensure that struggling banks do not collapse as a result of new capital levels. It is proposing to set up a fund in this regard. We have details on the proposed fund in the following report.
Sources say details of this proposed fund will be made in June. This is because at the time, the Bank of Ghana will be able to establish banks that cannot really meet the new minimum capital of 400 million cedis before December 31 line. The move would also ensure that there is no excuse for banks that may not meet the new levels and would not want to merge. Joy Business is also learning it could be another way of dealing with local banks that are currently pushing for the deadline for meeting the 400 million cedis to be staggered over 4 years. It is, however, unclear for now how this fund will be administered. That is, whether it will be operated as a revolving fund, or it will be giving as a loan to these banks wanting to merge, or it could later be converted as equity in banks that the Bank of Ghana has supported. Governor of the Bank of Ghana recently indicated that it is taking steps to ensure the banks that cannot meet the deadline wait for the deadline. A recent report by the Bank of Ghana showed that it has spent over 5 billion cedis in supporting troubled banks in liquidity support.
Still within the financial industry, after missing out on deadline for publishing its 2017 profits, GCB Bank has finally released its financial results for last year. The results showed some interesting revelations worth looking into, and my colleague George Yafe has joined me here with some more details on that report or release. George, so what accounted for the drastic decline in profits of GCB Bank?
If you look at their numbers and you go through the statement, what you can see is that this non-performing loans, or let's just say loans that the bank fear might go bad, it went up by almost 81% to about 49 million. And that could be the major reason for that decline in profit. Also, if you look at loans as well, it hasn't been performing that well, and those are those loans that they have given out. And that could also be another intelligent guess that you can make being the reason for the decline in profit, since there wasn't any footnotes or any notes to explain the numbers. Just going through the numbers of the financials they released for 2017, that's what you could conclude as being one of the major reasons for that sharp decline in profit for 2017.
Now, how is the bank doing in terms of loans and deposits?
If you look at deposits, they've seen quite some significant growth again, just restricting yourself to the numbers. The loan book hasn't grown that much, or they are not performing that much for you to make a judgment that indeed you're doing well in terms of growing the loan book. So again, if you look at those indicators, it's not that bad, but they could have done better as a bank, looking at the large assets that they sit on. And again, if you look at their numbers again, you could see that other indicators were doing quite well, Yafi.
Now, how did the recent UT Bank takeover affect the bank's fortunes?
It's interesting because in seeking for that extension, one of the reasons why they did decline or tried to seek for that extension was the fact that they are working on the numbers because of the acquisition. You've seen their assets grow significantly to about 9.6 billion Ghana cedis. So in terms of assets growth, yes. But some would say that per the Bank of Ghana arrangement, they were just taking on the good assets. So based on their acquisition, some would say they could have done better than that, because for the non-performing loans to still grow by that margin of 81%, because we also understand that they didn't take on the bad assets. So in terms of assets, yes, they've done so well. But looking at the fact that you took this bank on and you've still had this NPL at a high rate, it means that they were still not that prudent in the management of their funds. But in terms of the real impact as in contributing to the growth of the bank, maybe let's wait. Q1 results are also in. Let's look at half-year results and let's see how that has impacted on the bank. But in terms of assets growth, it has been significant. But in terms of the loans and deposits, we are still yet to establish whether they really benefited from this or not.
Is GCB Bank nearing meeting the new minimum capital requirement?
Obviously, GCB, I don't think it might struggle. But when you go through their statement, they stated capital as being 100 million Ghana cedis. That's still short of the 120 the Bank of Ghana is talking about. But I don't think that as a bank, GCB, looking at the assets, their shareholders, they can't or they will not be able to meet the capital requirement of 400 million Ghana cedis by December. Right. And even looking at the arrangement that the Bank of Ghana is putting ahead, there might be a fund available to support a GCB if it's going to struggle to meet the new capital levels.
Thank you very much.
Thank
George,
you so much
for that update. And that was George Riafe bringing us up to speed with some developments in the financial industry. Now, away from that, the Director General of the Registrar-Generals Department, Jemima Owari, is hopeful of the passage of the company's bill by the end of the year as the department pushes for autonomy. Though the department earns a lot in revenue, it is allocated just 13% to run its operations by the Ministry of Finance. Mrs. Owari explains to Joy Business being independent will enable the department to improve its services.
Ensure that we will become an autonomous office. There's going to be known the Office of the Registrar of Companies. What it means is that we'll hive off the other businesses that we carry out. You know, currently we register industrial property rights. There's going to be what we call a Ghana Industrial Property Office that will deal separately with trademarks, patents, industrial designs. That'll be a separate office. Then we'll have the Office of the Registrar of Companies that will deal basically with companies, business names, partnerships, external companies, everything to do with businesses. That office will handle that. You have another registrar and administration. When that happens, we'll now focus on company registration and ensure that we improve the ease of doing business better than we currently are. Because currently we're doing all that as well. But if we hive off and we have a separate office dedicated to only businesses, I believe we'll carry out better service for the government.
That it will go through the processes and hopefully be passed this year?
We're hoping very hard. It's another issue. When it gets to Parliament, there are committee meetings. You have to ensure that you structure the committee meetings effectively to get it passed in time. So we are talking with leadership to see how best that can be done.
All right, so it's time now to bring you some more highlights of the maiden edition of the Health and Wellness Trade Show, which took place at the Accra Digital Center a week ago. Now, a variety of products and services in the health sector were showcased at the three-day event held at the center. Let's now recap some of the excerpts of the trade show in a repeat of the Joy Business Van.
The Digital Center was venue for the Maiden Joy Business Health and Wellness Trade Show aimed at bringing together various businesses operating in the health sector, providing networking opportunities and fostering the business experience.
If we are looking at growth within the next 20 years, up to 18 trillion and beyond, then we're talking about big business. Now, what are we going to do about this business? We know pharmaceuticals will account for at least 3 trillion of this spend.
Healthcare providers, pharmaceutical firms, health insurers, wellness centers, manufacturing herbal medicines were represented.
Do you believe in herbal medicine? Yeah, I'm actually a medical practitioner, so I was curious when I saw one anti-malaria Nebima. So I just looked at the constituents on it, and just now I googled, and interestingly, some beautiful work has been done on it online from very respectable source.
So you feel we are missing out on herbal medicine in Ghana? You feel we are missing out on the potential herbal medicine in Ghana? Take it up.
Not that we are missing out, but it's an aspect that sort of people are not concentrating on, which is the scientific aspect of it.
Patrons were exposed to new technologies such as the telemedicine app and the Salad Master cooking system, encouraging healthy food preparation. What kind of fun memories are you going to be away from you from this side, as you know, salad?
People around to enjoy a very healthy salad, enjoying foods that are normally fried with artificial oil. This time they get to have it without any of those artificial oils, and just having about their health.
And this is quite unusual, pranic healing and natural. Okay, what's going on here?
Really going on is called Aquachi Foods. What it does is that an interaction in the feed and the water and the Aquachi unit throws up certain colors. Signifies what is happening in your body. So depending on the color code, it will show whether there's detox in your liver, your bladder, your skin, and stuff like that.
How are you feeling right now?
Very comfortable.
How has the feeling been like for you for the Health and Wellness Trade Show?
Well, it's been great because when I came here, they introduced me to this thing, and he said, yes, I've got to go through it, and I know exactly what my health status is like. So that's what I'm going through to find what it is like.
It's not just in like it doesn't just apply to just the man. It's both the man and the woman. So it depends on the couple. That's why I said it's relative. So if for a couple to take 1 minute partners to achieve sexual satisfaction, then that is not calculation.
We've had amazing moments, especially with doctors for free medical doctors. We had male clinics, we had female clinics. Just entered into your consultation room. How has the feeling been like for you as a male doctor looking at the issues of men?
Oh, that's what I do normally. I see male patients. So this health show has helped us to see a few men with a few male.
I think that the issue of male reproductive system has been here. I don't really pay attention to this.
Attention to it, male fertility.
All right, so it's become an annual affair now, and if you missed out on this particular year's edition, we'll certainly bring you another edition of the Health and Wellness Trade Show next year, where we bring to you a gathering of major stakeholders in the pharmaceutical and medical industry. And that's it for the Marketplace today. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Apwachi. We have a good afternoon.